Here we go, let's start the show. Steelers by the It's time to get ready. James, Cody, Nick, and Jill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for this Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Jill and Nick unable to join us this evening, but you know what I'm going to ask, Cody. How are you doing today on this Victory Monday?
Oh, man, I'm doing just splendid. Wow, what a turn of events from the way the Cincinnati game ended last time to this time, and even the injuries and all the things that happened. I'm doing great. Work was fun today. Got to hang out with a buddy. Also talk Steelers the whole time. Wow. Got to hang out with the girlfriend this weekend. Steelers won. I don't know what more I can ask for. I got a job promotion coming up. That's a big thing. I'm sure that everyone will see how that changes things later on. But James, how are you? Oh, whoa. How are you on, just for you, this Victory Monday?
Atta boy. It's tough to do bad on a Victory Monday. It really is.
It is. It's hard.
I was having that conversation earlier today with a coworker and found out that he was a Steelers fan for the first time. So be talking to him about it too. What's that?
The new jumper?
No. The shop manager, the shop foreman, who I get along with very well. Now I know he's a big-time Steelers fan because he talked about it in the first person, our team. Like I was like, oh yeah, he's all the way in.
Very nice.
It's good to be around good people, you know.
It is. That's my favorite thing whenever I'm talking Steelers or football in general, and everyone talk, like, you know, people do the same thing with other teams, but it's always fun when they're like, yeah, we got to do this. Like, yeah, because we can help. We can do whatever the team needs. So that's always fun and exciting to see. My buddy did say that out of all the Steelers games he's been to, the atmosphere of this one was different. He said he was even leaving the stadium when they played Renegade late in the fourth quarter after they were already up big. And that's when he kind of said, you know, me and my wife decided to walk out, get ahead of the rush and everything. And he's like, you could tell they were pumped. Like they were excited because they saw the defense playing well. They saw Mason come in and tear it up. We'll get to that. I feel like there were a lot of things that went right in this game and a lot of things that could have gone better. I don't know if there's anywhere in this game where somebody really did something wrong or really annoying. I have the few things that I'll nitpick later. But it felt like a well-rounded game at the end of things. And I will say the defense has 2 defensive touchdowns. That kind of makes things feel a little lopsided. When in reality, I think the defense didn't play that well, but those 2 defenses, I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. So you got to give props where it's due, and that's definitely due. But let's not go too far into all this stuff. We got a lot of things to talk about. James, let's talk elevations first.
Elevations. So some surprises for me. Defensive back Deshaun Jameson got elevated, and middle linebacker Mark Robinson, who our very own Nick Pretzel said he thought he was going to get promoted. Nick was 100% right on that. I thought for sure we'd see an outside linebacker like the Marvin Leal due to the fact that Alex Highsmith was down, but they went a different direction. Mark Robinson for the special teams usage, and Deshaun Jameson for his ability to kick return just in case the crap hit the fan, which it did. Because Keshawn Williams got a concussion in this game. That's one of the other injuries that I forgot to write down. So he actually got an opportunity to return kicks in this game and turned out to be a valuable person to be called up.
Yeah, absolutely. Inactives for the game. Will Howard, technically listed as the QB3, though. Darius Slay, Cole Holcomb, Alex Highsmith, Andrus Pete, and then also Broderick Martin Rhodes, if I'm not mistaken, and Logan.
Yes.
So those are the inactives. Alex Highsmith dealing with an injury. Darius Slay dealing with an injury. Cole Holcomb injury. Other guys, if I'm not mistaken, are healthy scratches. And then Will Howard being that QB3. Wow. I was nervous. I thought I was going to see Isaac Seumalo on this list. I was happy that I did not. But the offense felt like they struggled a little bit, but let's not go too far. We got to talk quarterbacks and Aaron and everything before we go offensive line. I'm just excited to go through this whole game right now because I have a lot of things that I want to talk about in this game.
Yeah,
Because,
and we finally have a lot of positive to talk about. And honestly, I feel like both sides of the ball, we've got a lot of positive to talk about. So there's frustrations on both sides of the ball, no doubt.
100%.
But I feel like all around it was probably the best all-around performance from this team all year. We have plenty to celebrate from the offense. I think a decent amount to celebrate from the defense. Run defense wasn't the greatest in this game, but the pass defense was incredible. And special teams did their gig. So, what's there to complain about on this one? I mean, if anything, you could probably say that Aaron Rodgers did look a little bit gun shy again. His movement inside the pocket, not incredible. He did scramble for a first down, which was the first time we've seen him do that maybe all season long. He just has not had the legs to do it so far. But he was pretty accurate on the day. 9 of 15 is not an awful completion percentage. Did get a passing touchdown, took him right down the field on that opening drive. But then they kind of struggled after that drive. And the only other drive that he was in charge of that was successful was the last one of the first half, which was his final drive where they got a field goal there. And it turns out on that drive, very near the end of it, one time when he was slammed down to the ground, he braced himself with his left arm and appears to have a fracture in that left wrist, per reports from Adam Schefter. The degree of which it doesn't seem like we really have a full comprehension on that yet. But it sounds like he's expected to miss at least a couple of weeks, but not be out for the season.
Yeah, and Aaron's already pushing to go next week. I don't think it would be a smart decision, especially after you got to see Mason come in and play the way that he did. So Aaron 9 of 15, Mason 12 of 16, 127 yards, 7.9 average and 1 touchdown, no interception, no sacks taken. Just a really impressive performance from him. And and going back and looking at some of the highlights, I almost feel like Aaron is, when he takes a snap and he's back in the pocket, he's scared of the rush. He's afraid to get hit. I don't know if it's the old age. I don't know if it's lingering injuries. I don't know if it's flashbacks to his last injury with the Achilles. I don't know what it is, but he seems jittery. Mason Rudolph came out there, James, and looked strong, sturdy, and confident in that pocket. And I don't think I was ready for
that. He's shown glimpses of this in the past. When we think back to not last year, but the year previous, where he got a chance to start the final 3 games of the season that year, he looked good in those 3 games. And we did see him stand tall in the pocket and throw for over 200 yards every time he went out there. And I want to say he had like 6 touchdowns and only 1 interception in the final 3 games of that season. He put together a good performance to help Pittsburgh get into the playoffs that year. So he's had the potential all along. I would say that he probably never really got an honest chance to become the starting quarterback, because by the time he got a shake at it, they brought in Trubisky. Obviously, that didn't work out. Then Kenny gets drafted. That didn't work out. Then they bring in Fields and Russ and move on from him. And he just never really got a chance. And I always thought that Mason could be at least an adequate level starter. I never thought that Mason was going to be like some high-end dude, Pro Bowler, you throw 50 touchdowns in a year. But at the same point in time, like, he can throw the ball. He can move a little bit. One of those seasons where he was the backup quarterback, he actually had the longest run of the season. He had a scramble that was like 37 yards or something. It led the entire team that year. You can't expect Mason to play awesome every time he goes out there, but he is a good enough quality player that you should expect more good performances than bad performances. And I think he can beat some of these tough teams.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The next 4 games are going to be big, in my opinion, for the team as a whole, because next game is the Bears. And that's probably why Aaron wants to play so bad, because he's owned them most of his career. And then I think after that is I can pull the schedule up. I think it's Detroit, maybe. No, Detroit's later in the year. It's Bills, Ravens, and then Dolphins. So those next 4 games, we just watched the Bills play in a crazy game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers where Josh Allen scored 6 touchdowns.
Mhm.
The Ravens are the Ravens. If Lamar Jackson plays, I think we're good. And then we just also watched the Dolphins a few weeks ago just destroy the Bills. And so it sucks because the Bears should be a win. No matter who's starting at quarterback, in my opinion, the Bears should be a win. They are playing better football. Caleb Williams is playing fairly well, but I feel like we're going to have their number, although we've struggled in Chicago recently, like over the last few years, if I remember correctly. The last time I think we won in Chicago was when Jerome Bettis ran over Brian Urlacher to get us to playoff bound for the Super Bowl 50, if I'm not mistaken, or 43. I don't remember what it was. 40, I think I'm talking. But these next 4 games, if Aaron's going to miss time, it's going to be very interesting to see how Mason performs given a full game, given a full week of preparation, all these things. And then obviously the thing that I think people underestimate, film. There's going to be film on Mason now, and now it's going to be studied and looked at by analytics and all these guys and coordinators on the teams, and they're going to prepare a little bit differently than they would for Aaron. But I'm excited to see Mason come out and show us what he's got, because I don't know if you saw an interview, either it was after the game or today, I can't remember. He was like, I love playing here. And so, yeah, this was special. Like, he loves playing in Pittsburgh. So, maybe there is a future in Pittsburgh for Mason. I don't know, but we're going to find out, because it's kind of forcing our hands are tied right now. We kind of got to go hit his route. Unless you want to either throw in the rookie or throw in a guy that has a broken hand. So,
And didn't Mason get a 2-year contract?
I can find that out.
I feel like they signed him to a 2-year deal when they signed him. So he'll be here next season too, if I'm remembering that correctly. Because I want to say Skyler was 1 year and
2-year, $8 million contract.
Yeah, so he'll be here next season. And every time he marches out there and puts another good performance together, not only is he making himself more popular in the fan base, it kind of makes you a little more optimistic about the future of the team too. Because I still believe that you can do a lot worse than Mason Rudolph at quarterback. A lot worse. So I don't know. I'm optimistic about it. I feel like he was pretty surgical with his throws. He used every inch of the field. He had no problem throwing over the middle. He was hitting guys in stride, giving them an opportunity to run after catch. And then I think probably one of the biggest wild cards that's really going to help Pittsburgh out is Aaron Rodgers just doesn't have a lot of mobility left, and Mason is still got all of his mobility.
Yep.
Mason can still move, and not like he was ever a super athlete, but he's never been a statue pocket guy either. He can scramble, he can move, and I think in those situations where things break down and he has no choice but to roll out, and he's trying to extend it to try to find somebody open, when he chooses to run, instead of getting tracked down from behind and only getting a yard or two, or maybe not even getting back to the line of scrimmage, you'll see him get 5 or 6 yards on that play and make that third down more manageable.
Yep.
Or maybe get 5-yard scramble on a first down, and now you're in 2nd and 5 instead of 2nd and 10. Like, that little 5 or 6 yard scramble can make an enormous difference in how easy your drive is. One of the things we were talking about heavily before this game is the need to see sustained drives and third down conversions. Well, they were over 50% for probably the first time all season on their third down conversions.
Well, hey, they went 2 of 7 with Aaron. They went 5 of 6 with Mason.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying. Now,
reason for optimism, right?
Well, there's also the aspect of, and I don't want to, I'm trying to give Aaron the benefit of the doubt. One of them was like a 3rd and 21. And so we did face a couple extra longer third downs with at least that one with Aaron, but still, I mean, that's a drastic difference of 2 of 7 to 5 of 6 is just insane. But my struggle is watching that, hey, 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 20 something, and we're throwing it to the freaking like 5 yards down the field when you need 21 yards, and it just drives me nuts. And that was the play that Darnell Washington went airborne. And then later on in the game, I think on a 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 11, he picked up the first down when he went running.
It was a 3rd and 17.
3rd and 17, excuse me.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
he
like
converted a 3rd and 17 on a dump off.
Yeah, and I hate seeing that because now the dump off's going to look like a smart play when it's not. But props to Darnell for making that work.
And I think it's about who are you using. I don't think a dump off on a 3rd and long is ever a very good idea. But if you're going to give yourself a chance of it actually converting, I don't know, throw it to somebody who's either stronger than everybody else on the field or incredibly elusive and can break a tackle. Like if you're going to do that, the guys that can make that work, it's a short list, man. It's Jalen Warren because he can break tackles in the open field and make people miss pretty easily. You know, once in a while, Kenny can pull one out of his butt. He was awesome as a receiver in this game. I'll give him that. Horrific as a runner, but awesome as a receiver. And then Darnell, once he gets going, if he gets a little momentum, man, we saw it on that big run to the sideline where he stiff arms a guy and then bulldozes a second one, and then a third guy gets in his way and he runs him over too. Like, these guys were making business decisions. They didn't go in there and hit him as hard as they could because that's how you break a collarbone. When you hit a man that's that massive and you're a 200-pound safety or a 185-pound corner, you're going to end up hurt.
Yep.
So they're diving at ankles or they're trying to get them around the waist. And if you try to get them around the waist, you're just going to end up on your back.
I think the thing that I hated, still talking about 3rd down conversions. Obviously, the offense did a much better job using Darnell. You're right. Even DK, you could argue. Jalen, those are like the 3 guys. Yeah, those are the 3 guys that I would consider in those situations. But looking back towards on the defensive side of the ball, at one point we had them in a 3rd and long. It was 3rd and 11. I think it was the very first 3rd down we got them in. And our defense like audibled into a like drop back. Like you had Duggar run downfield. You had Patrick Queen. They had everyone at the first down line. They threw it right, stopped it, and it was really frustrating to see these passes and do this. I want to see our defense perform better on 3rd down, along with our offense. We're seeing more of our offense, but that was frustrating to kind of see.
Yeah, there was one play with the T. Higgins touchdown that I got a little bit irritated with.
Yep.
And I understand how it happened because honestly, like the pass rush just didn't get there. And Cam Hayward talked about it after the game. He said a guy bear hugged him, and I remember that, and he's absolutely right. One of the offensive linemen literally just wrapped around him and was holding him, and they never called it. But because of it, Higgins works his way all the way across from the left all the way to the right and ends up in Jack Sawyer's zone. And as soon as he sees Jack Sawyer, he knows all he has to do is go deep, and there's zero chance that Jack can run with him. Yep. And he tried, but that's just not something that's meant to happen in that play. Like, you drop that linebacker because he's covering the area. If he ends up having to cover for 5 or 6 seconds like he did on that play, it's never going to work well.
Nope. And this was the play you were talking about with Darnell here, which was just a phenomenal play to see him do the stiff arm, which you've seen those stiff arms against cornerbacks, but then that stiff arm happened and it was just phenomenal. And then obviously the big hit later in the play was just really, really fun to watch and really exciting to see. But let's not get too far off. I want to continue doing the conversation about the offense. Let's bounce. Do you want to talk running backs, even though running game kind of wasn't there much?
And honestly, it depends on which running backs we're talking about whether or not the running game was there, right? Because Jalen Warren had an incredible game. 10 carries, 62 yards. His 35-yard run was the best run we've seen of the season. With him, again, just making people miss, breaking tackles, attempting to hurdle a man that didn't actually go low on him, and then just stiff-arming him in the face and getting another 5 to 10 after that. Just Jalen proving why he needs as many touches as humanly possible every single week. Now, the only wild card on that is he did tweak an ankle in this game. But how did it happen? On a pass dump off in a situation where a guy was hitting him the second he caught the ball. So that's why those dump offs are so frustrating for all of us. It's not just when you dump it off and it's way short of the sticks on 3rd and long. It's also, are you putting your guy in a situation where he has no chance to defend himself and he might get twisted up? As soon as he got tackled on that play, I said, I don't like the way he went down there. That's how you end up with a bum ankle. And the next thing you know, he's holding his ankle.
Yep.
So it's if you're going to dump it off to the running back, it has to be something that is like right away. You can't wait, go through 3 reads and then go to him, because by the time you do that, the linebacker or the safety's already on him. And then you're putting that guy in a situation where he's either going to get smothered the second he catches it. He could take a nasty hit. He could get twisted up like that and get injured. So hopefully Jalen's all right and his ankle's recovered enough to go this upcoming week against the Bears. But I thought good game for Jalen on the ground. Great game for Gainwell receiving, but very bad game for him running the ball. And then I thought Caleb Johnson had some nice runs again in this game too, with his best run unfortunately getting called back due to penalty again, which is just like, this is the theme. Like a few weeks ago, he had a 9-yard run off the right side. Somebody held, the whole thing got called back. This time he's got a real nice run off the left side. Unfortunately, gets a hold of the defender's face mask while he's attempting to stiff arm him. If he doesn't grab the face mask, that goes down as his best run of the day.
Just keep the hand flat, baby. Keep the hand flat.
That's it. You know, he's inches away from that being like a signature run for him early on in his career here. But I did like his ability to find a crease. There was another play where he had to run off to the right side, and there were 3 defenders that came crashing right through, and he somehow split between all of them and gained a yard when he probably should have lost at least 2.
Yeah. In
little runs like that, you know, it goes down as a 1-yard run, and it looks like it's a crappy run when it's actually a great run because he should have lost 2 yards on the play. Yep. So I think some nice steps in the right direction for Caleb in this game. I like that he got 5 carries. That's eating a little bit more into the carries from some of the other guys. Again, I don't want to necessarily see less carries for Jalen, but I think Caleb might be the second most talented runner on the team outside of Jalen Warren. I think he might be a more talented runner than Gainwell is. But Gainwell in the open field, man, wow.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Gainwell had a phenomenal game in that passing game. 7 receptions for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's talk about it for a minute. He was the guy that caught both touchdowns from both of our quarterbacks, which was great. All the other touchdowns came from the defense. So it was enjoyable to see him have a better game. But you're right. I mean, it's like you said, it's right to see Caleb Johnson taking steps in the right direction. It's right to see him eating some carries. And so that'll be enjoyable and both a good thing for our other running backs and his development. He was a 3rd-round guy. It's not like they didn't invest highly in him and expect to get something out of him. They do. I'm hoping we can continue to see more. But speaking of stepping in the right direction and eating, make sure if you haven't, go check out the Edinburgh Hotel Bar. You can park a car, step in the right direction, and go have a bite to eat.
As where you might need 2 hands to eat at the Edinburgh Hotel Bar. Kenny Gainwell only needs 1 to catch the ball, apparently. So pretty impressive stuff from him in this game in the receiving side. But Steelers by the Lake is sponsored in part by the Edinburgh Hotel Bar at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, with a full menu including daily lunch and dinner specials and a family-friendly, smoke-free environment. Details are available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com. The Edinburgh Hotel Bar, where you had me at a hotel.
Yeah, the Edinburgh Hotel Bar. I was there yesterday with my lovely girlfriend. We had a good time. I got to chat with Pat, the owner, there a little bit. We always talk football when he's there. Obviously, he's a big-time Steeler fan. It's a little big-time Steeler bar. And, man, so close a couple times to some things happening in the right direction. But the running game was there for Jalen, just not really anybody else. I mean, obviously, Caleb, 5-15, yeah. Aaron Rodgers, I guess technically he had the running game was there for him. He averaged 8 yards a carry on the 1 carry that he had. So We'll give him that. But let's bounce back to the receiving numbers. Darnell and Kenneth Gainwell were it this game, in all honesty. And I'm happy with the production from the next three guys. But just Kenneth Gainwell for 7 for 81 and Darnell 4 for 67. And the big rumbling, tumbling that he was able to do was just phenomenal. And I'm excited to see him get involved because we've been high on him since he got drafted. And we're like, why are we not like, if you watch the tape of him back when he played at Georgia, he's a receiving tight end. Don't get me wrong, he can block too. But his hands work very, very well. Like, it's not like he's blocking specialist and can kind of catch. No, he can do both. And so I'm excited to see us getting him involved. I'm excited. I hate to see the stupid screenplays to him because then he has to go from 0 to full speed, and that he doesn't do that very quickly. He is a big man. So excited to see him get involved in more ways than screens. DK Metcalf, 5 catches for 49 yards. I thought it was a good game for him, but kind of quiet in the sense of no big plays, except the one that got called back from the pass interference. I'm hit or miss with that. I heard a lot of things from a lot of people. James, I don't know where you stand. There was obviously extension. I think it was a good call. I think it would have been a good no call, personally. I think that's just one of those ones. It was a 50-50. You got called for it.
I think it was soft, honestly. I think it was a real soft call, especially since they had called it the other way around on us. You see the first matchup where the touchdown that gets Cincinnati rolling in the first time we played them was Jamar Chase on a very obvious push-off versus our cornerback. And this one I thought was a lot less invasive, a lot less intrusive of a push-off. Was there one there? Yeah, it was pretty minimal, though. He didn't really create much in the line of space by doing so, and definitely didn't interrupt the momentum of the defender. So I didn't like it. Obviously, I'm pretty biased on that. But I thought it was a pretty soft call with a very minimal amount of pushing going on there. But they had also called an offensive pass interference on him on a rub route where he ran his route. And there was a little contact shoulder to shoulder, and they immediately threw it on us and, back us up 15 yards. And then at a 15-yard offensive penalty is a drive killer. It's very tough to overcome those. So I just thought that in a game where Pittsburgh outplayed Cincinnati in almost every single aspect, a few times it felt like the refs were trying to keep Cincinnati in the game, but they just weren't good enough to stay in the game. So thank God our guys really kept their heads in the game. And for the most part, everybody other than one guy kept their cool in this game. But we'll talk about that and whether or not that may or may not have been justified based off of what we have now seen video evidence of.
Yeah. And let's not forget these other receivers. We'll definitely get to that conversation. And then I do want to talk refs briefly because I feel like the refs missed a lot of calls in this game. And it went both ways. I'm not going to say that just against Cincinnati. We had a couple times where Troy Fautanu and Broderick Jones, obvious false starts. I saw at least one from both of them that it wasn't very close. And that happens, whatever, it gets away with it. But it happened on the other side of the ball too, where their tackles were moving early there. And it's frustrating from a point of it just feels like the game's not getting called accurately. I'm not worried about the fairly part of it. This game felt somewhat fairly flagged, and it looks that way on the numbers. I think both teams had eight penalties. Ours were 676 yards. Theirs were 67 yards. So very similar. Oh, here we go. 6-7 stuff. But I do think that they're missing obvious calls, and then they're calling things that they shouldn't. And so we'll get to that more later. Again, Pat Freiermuth, 1 catch for 19 yards. I thought he had a phenomenal run after catch and fighting for extra yards. And that was while Aaron was in. So I thought that was good, building some more trust with Aaron. And then Roman Wilson, 1 catch for 17 yards. They tried going to him again later on a 3rd and goal. Honestly, I just thought it was a dumb play call. It wasn't going to help you get in the end zone at all. And it was a very bad high behind him pass. So I don't really count that missed reception on him. Calvin Austin, 1 for 5. And then Jalen Warren, 2 for 5, the last guy to record any stats. Jonnu Smith did have 2 targets, but no catches in the game. And man, Jonnu Smith, the guy we brought in this year and don't seem to be getting much out of him.
Yeah, it's a pretty frustrating thing, Now, one of those passes to him was pretty well behind him, so that wasn't on him that he was unable to come up with that. But the fact that they're paying this guy as much money as they are, which is basically the same exact amount as Pat Freiermuth, and you're not getting a lot of production out of him is definitely frustrating. And although Pat only registered that one catch for 19 in this game, it's a heck of a play, man. He caught that ball, made the first guy miss, and then went and got a first down that he really had no business achieving based off of where he caught the ball and the fact that he had a defender coming right down on him right away. So only one opportunity, but Pat made the most of his opportunity. John, who had two, couldn't make anything out of either one of them. And it has me to a point where, I mentioned this in our group chat that we have here for the podcast, that I'm leaning towards Pittsburgh extending Darnell Washington in the offseason and trying to trade away Jonnu. It just seems as though he's not a fit for this team. He's not a good enough blocker to be able to handle that responsibility on offense. You had to go to this jumbo formation because of it. And he's not giving you any splash as a receiver. Now, maybe we'll see something with Mason now. It looks like Mason's probably going to start for a few weeks. If that's the case, maybe him and Jonnu will have some chemistry. So there's a chance. But if Mason does start the next few weeks and Jonnu still isn't getting any production, oh, man, I don't really see the point of paying him $15 million next year to have 20 or 25 catches and maybe 200 yards. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
No, I'm with you. At some point, you got to invest the money in the right areas. And if Jonnu's not giving us the output that we're paying him for, and we're getting that from the other guys, you got to make the right move. And I would love to see Darnell extended. We've been high on him after the draft, wanting to see him more involved. He's getting there now. Pat, we know what Pat can do. We've seen it. Would love to see them invest the money that they're spending on Jonnu potentially somewhere else. Offensive line, defensive line. One's not going to be here forever. If you want to look secondary with the aging corners, now safeties we have, what injuries, whatever it may be. I don't think I'm with you on the trading Jonnu thing. And it's not often a team runs 3 tight ends and all of them are getting involved. And we have 2 very capable tight ends. And we talked about this when we traded for Jonnu.
Yeah.
We were like, hey, I'm worried Darnell's not going to get the ball now. I'm worried Darnell's going to get forgotten. And luckily that hasn't happened. But it almost seems like it was a wasted trade, at least for now. I mean, obviously we got Jalen Ramsey in that trade as well, but Jonnu's doesn't seem to be the answer in that tight end room.
It feels like Jonnu is just a throw-in now. I feel like Pittsburgh still wins the trade because I think Jalen's been a lot more impactful than Minka has this season. So if you 1-for-1 just the two of them, I think Jalen's having the better year out of the two of them. But Jonnu really isn't really adding much to that at all. And the most frustrating part for me is it was sold as Jonnu is a wide receiver capable guy. You can line him up as wide receiver 2. You almost don't need to worry about wide receiver 2 because you got Jonnu and he's a weapon, and that's going to take care of the fact that you don't necessarily have the number 2 wide receiver. Well, it just has not worked out that way at all. Yeah. So,
yep, not at all. So hopefully either something changes or we make a move later on. Let's talk offensive line. Let's talk offensive line.
Yeah, not bad. Not a bad day, I thought, from the offensive line. Decent protection. Definitely once they got in a rhythm in the second half. I mean, they only had 2 actual real drives in the second half because of the defensive touchdowns. Technically, they had the ball 3 times, but the third drive was just 1 kneel down, and that was it. So you can't really call that a drive. So with those 2 drives and the 2 successful drives at that, the line really held up pretty well, I thought. So they definitely are like hot and cold as far as their run blocking. It feels like one week the run blocking is pretty solid, the next week not so great. But I felt like overall it was an above-the-line performance from the offensive line.
Yep.
So you take that. When you only allow 1 sack throughout the course of a game with 2 different quarterbacks, which can really kind of lead to some challenging situations as far as knowing where the guy's going to go, where he's going to want to scramble to and all that. They handled it pretty well, I thought. So definitely nice seeing Sayamalu back out there. I don't think at any point in time during this game I thought, man, Sayamalu really didn't do that well on that play, which means he did pretty well on every play. So
Yep.
it's incredible. A guy that we were kind of dogging early in the season has turned out to be having actually a pretty good season, and you can see such a big drop off from him to the guys behind him.
Yeah, and we were high on the guys behind him as well. So I'm right there with you. I thought Broderick Jones had a decent game as well. I think he's still on a comeback tour right now. I feel like he's still making up for all the times where we couldn't trust him, and he was allowing sack after sack after sack after pressure after sack. And so nice to see him have a good game, and hoping that the offensive line can just continue to gel and move things in the proper direction. Bouncing over to defensive line, I thought Cam Hayward had himself a decent game, 5 tackles. You also had Keanu Benton have the 3 tackles and the QB hit that was registered. And then YA Black, 2 tackles, and then Derek Harmon only registering a single tackle. Not a lot from the defensive line as far as obviously the 1 QB hit, but like QB hits, pressure, stuff like that. I don't feel like we got a lot of that from the defensive line specifically.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. They held their own for the most part, but you didn't see splash from them. And a couple of big runs were given up in this game. Let's be honest. A few times guys got through, and a lot of times that's a little bit more on the linebackers than it is on the defensive line. So it's tough. And I feel like every time a big run play happened, Peyton Wilson wasn't on the field and Malik Harrison was. And that's, that frustration comes through again. Once in a while you see these thumpers, these run stoppers make a real nice run stop and everybody gets excited about it. And then there's 2 or 3 plays throughout the course of the game where they're just not quick enough to get to their hole. They're not quick enough to get to their responsibility and somebody runs right by them.
Yep.
So to me, I'd rather see a fullback flatten Peyton Wilson once a game, but he still gets 10 to 12 tackles because he's out there on every play, rather than one of these thumper types being out there in 2 or 3 times a game. Somebody runs right by him because they're not fast enough.
Yep. We definitely saw that a lot. First play of the second half, I think, was that as well.
Real quick, too, I want to give a little shout out to YA Black. I feel like he's really starting to evolve and make a larger impact as the season is going on. Seems like he's getting a few more snaps here and there. The 2-point conversion that the Bengals attempted on their first drive, he was part of the crew that stopped that. Cam Hayward got incredible penetration. Patrick Queen and YA Black stuffed him. So definitely some improved play, I think, from him. And we're starting to see a little bit more playing time for Asezio Tomewo as well. And that's a pretty athletic dude for a big guy. He moves pretty well in the open field. So I'm interested to see if this is someone that they can develop as well. Obviously, he was the height, weight, speed, athleticism guy. That's the whole reason that he's on the team right now, is that he's got that frame, that size, that length that they like to see. So I don't know, man. Maybe there's a little bit of optimism here out of this group, but definitely need to see more pass rush from these guys. They're just not getting the pressure that we're seeing. I feel like Benton's still getting a lot of pressure. He didn't get a sack this game, but he made some noise, and I feel like he was in that backfield a number of times. So even though we're not seeing like big numbers from him in this game, he does have 1 QB hit that he registered on here, but I feel like he was in the backfield a decent amount.
Yeah, I just want to see more. I think more consistency across the board, pass game and run game. I feel like we get a couple games or even maybe a couple quarters where they're stuffing runs and they're not allowing guys to get through their holes or their gaps and they're playing really well. And then there's times where, man, we're just making valleys for these guys to run through. And whether sometimes the linebackers get there, sometimes they don't. But it's like our guys aren't even getting a hand on the running back. And that's really what you at the bare minimum want, is your defensive lineman reaching out and being able to slow down or pull down these running backs trying to run through holes. So
yeah,
very excited to see what can happen in the future. Again, it is a very, very young defensive line. YA Black, Derek Harmon, both these guys getting the playing time that they have in their rookie years. So Excited for that.
Even
Excited for that for
Benton,
sure.
right? Benton's only like his
Yeah.
third year in the league. He's a young dude too. So
Yep.
there's definitely some promise with these guys. I am hoping to see a little bit more pass rush production from these guys. Benton's having his best year as far as a pass rusher, but we're not getting as much as we normally get out of Cam Hayward. And Harmon made some splash early on in the season, and now I feel like he's a little better run defender than he is as far as getting after the quarterback. So I want to see a little more from him too.
Yeah. Bouncing to the linebackers, we'll go interior first. Patrick Queen led the team with 10 tackles. Peyton Wilson, 6 tackles. I feel like he's all over the place. Peyton Wilson just freaking, like you said, when he's off the field, that's when we give up big runs, big plays. And it's almost like the teams know to run when he's not out there, which is really frustrating, really unfortunate for us. And then if you want to also talk Malik Harrison, he was in there for 3 tackles. A quiet game from the middle linebacker group. I thought Patrick Queen, although he led the team in tackles, still late getting to spots. And it was frustrating. Big third down conversions, things like that. I don't like where he's playing, where he's going to be. There was one time on another third down conversion I haven't talked about yet where he was playing up towards the line, and I think it was like a disguise. And then he was sprinting backwards, trying to get back into coverage. And then they did a little dump off to Chase Brown, and he easily got the first down. So frustrating to see that we either can't get him in the right spot, or we're trying to do too many hocus pocus things with him, and he's not performing the way that I would like, especially on those third down conversions, those third down stops that we're not seeming to be able to get. So I hope that things change with that.
Yeah, I feel like he had a few missed tackles this year, and he's having a real rough year with missed tackles. But in this game specifically, a few more of those missed tackles. Just got to clean it up. The difference between a 4-yard run and a 30-yard run sometimes is that linebacker making the tackle instead of missing it. So some stuff that needs cleaned up from those guys. Not as much pass rush from the outside linebackers in this game as I would like, but we did see yet another sack for Nick Herbig in a game that I had at least talked about. He had a real advantage on that speed going up against Orlando Brown Jr. over there. He was able to take advantage of that multiple times with pressure and did eventually get him to the ground. So nice to see that. We didn't get a whole ton out of Jack Sawyer in this game, but he did get a lot of playing time. And TJ also just struggling to get to the quarterback in time, but did have a couple pass deflections and did hit the quarterback at least once in this game too. So
yeah, that was flagged.
Well, yeah, I think that one doesn't count in the official column on that.
No, it doesn't. But it shouldn't have been flagged. Just a horrible call in my opinion. Maybe do you think differently, James? I'm not sure.
It's the technicality of the rule. You're not allowed to land on him. So he doesn't really have much of an option if he's going to get the sack in that situation or hit the quarterback, right? Like he kind of has to land on him. But what they're looking for on that is for an attempt to either, like, if you land on him like that, get your hands out like this so it doesn't look like you're driving him to the ground, right? Or roll off of him when you hit the ground. If you do one of those two things, you're showing that you're not trying to drive him into the ground. He didn't do either one, and that's why he got flagged, in my opinion. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, but I do understand why it happened.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I'll give you that. I that's a good explanation of it. I still, it was a tough call to watch because Aaron's been tackled that way and hasn't yet gotten that call.
Yeah,
which is crazy because it's Aaron. You'd think with some of these other guys, maybe they don't get called, Caleb Williams, whatever, but Aaron Rodgers and still don't get it called. That's kind of crazy. Outside linebackers, you talked about Herbig, you talked about TJ. Jack Sawyer let up a big touchdown pass at the very beginning of the game. He just wasn't fast enough to keep up with it. We talked about that. Looking at the secondary, Brandon Echols had a ton of tackles, but I feel like he had a really bad game, honestly. I thought that Joey Porter Jr. also had a bad game. I didn't like now let me explain why, because I saw that face. I knew you were going to do that.
We're on polar opposites on the cornerback room on this one, buddy.
Well, so Joey Porter went back to in his rookie year. If you remember, he was always trying to punch the ball out and missing tackles and arm tackles. And I saw him do it at least twice again in this game, where guys are running downfield and he's trying to punch the ball. And the one play he tried to punch the ball, then fell, rolled off, dragged on the guy's shirt a little bit, and then let up another 10 yards before he was able to get tackled. Like, I understand turnovers are big, but wrap up as well. I don't want to let these guys get a ton of yards either. And I don't know, maybe I can even find. Do you know what play I'm talking about? Do you remember that at all?
I remember Pierre doing that. I don't know that I remember Porter doing that. But I thought as far as like the actual coverage from these guys, they were incredible in this game. They really took Jamar Chase completely out of it, got him so frustrated he was willing to spit in somebody's face to try to get him off the field. And very little production out of the wide receiver room. These guys were sticky in coverage in this game. And I thought all three of them, James Pierre, Brandon Echols, and Joey Porter Jr. were just lights out in this game as far as their coverage. I guess I'm not putting as much of a weight on their tackling, especially when you're talking about, trying to get a running back to the ground. That's not even their primary responsibility. But when it comes to coverage, it was so bad in that first game against the Bengals where Slay and Ramsey were just getting cooked every single play. And in this game, we see some pretty serious up front coverage, like just in these guys' faces, breaking up passes. Pierre registers 2 broken up passes on the day. Porter gets another one on the day. And Echols, I thought, was in position all game long too. So
this was that play I was talking about. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. But it was a Chase Brown run right at the beginning of the third, and he tries to punch the ball out. I mean, he gets 15 yards after that.
Yeah,
that was frustrating to watch. Like, don't go for the strip in that situation. Please just get the tackle. We already allowed a big run in that situation.
Fair enough, but nobody was completing passes against him.
That's fair. That's fair. I thought James Pierre had the best game, arguably, of his career with Pittsburgh. I mean, obviously, he had the game-sealing touchdown against Denver at one point, but James Pierre was locked down coverage on Jamar Chase when he was against him, and there was one play downfield where you can't ask for better coverage. He was stride for stride with him, jumped over his head, and batted the ball away. Just a phenomenal game, I thought, from James Pierre. And then you also have the fumble recovery, scoop and score.
And score, baby.
James Pierre, very good game.
Yeah, and it goes again. We talked about this in the pregame show, right? We said with what we're starting to see from James Pierre, the tape that he's putting out there, how can you really justify putting Slay back out on the field? I don't get it. Now
because you're probably paying Slay more.
Yeah, we're going to find out what they do on this upcoming season, because Slay is going to probably be cleared to play. He really didn't have much of a chance of coming back from a concussion in 1 week. That doesn't happen too often. But week 2, most guys are cleared to play by then. So what does Pittsburgh do this upcoming week against the Bears? I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a rotation between the two, but I really feel like it should be heavily in favor of James Pierre. I just don't care that you've given Darius Slay $10 million for this year. I don't care. Pierre's outplaying him.
Yep.
Pierre's outplaying him. And Brandon Echols, for the most part, I think is representing himself fairly well in this game too, and on the season. There was a play in this game where there was a run to the right side. It was like off right guard, and Echols came in and just smacked him. Smacked him behind the line of scrimmage, stopped it for a gain of nothing as far as I know. But it was a run fit that we really haven't seen out of the nickel position since Mike Hilton was the nickel corner. It was really good as far as a run stop from a nickel corner. So I like a lot of what I'm seeing from Echols. He is getting cooked from time to time, but I feel like there's a lot more good on tape that he's putting out there than there is bad. And it just has me optimistic for the future. So one of my takeaways from this game is that you got to make sure that we're extending James Pierre after this season. And he might possibly be a real option moving forward as a starting outside corner.
Yeah.
He's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the speed. He's physical when it comes to tackling. There's been a number of times the last few weeks where he's grabbed somebody, wrapped them up, and just slammed them right to the ground. Like, it's kind of everything you're hoping for in a corner.
Yep. it's just a little peak. It's peaking late. That's all. And that's totally fine.
So did James Harrison. He was 29 before he got a starting gig.
True.
Here's Pierre at 27 years old. Maybe he's on a similar path. He was undrafted too. It's just a James thing. We're late bloomers.
Oh man. Jalen Ramsey, safety, 4 tackles before being ejected. Also a pass breakup. Chuck Clark, 5 tackles. And then you have the obvious Kyle Duggar was all over the place, 2 pass breakups, and then the pick 6 as well, 73-yard at that. Just a phenomenal game for that safety room. And Jalen Ramsey, the whole thing. I even hate how ESPN is painting it. So on ESPN.com, it says Jalen Ramsey ejected after throwing punch at Jamar Chase. Chase appears to spit on Ramsey during scuffle. No. That is what led to the scuffle.
Yeah.
And so I hate how they painted that. And then obviously Jamar Chase was asked about it after the game. Jalen Ramsey said, "You spit on him." And he says, "No, I didn't even say a word to that man. I didn't spit on nobody." Straight lying. And, man, there's nothing I dislike more in this world than a liar, because if you can lie about things, it just means you're a crappy person, man. Like on national TV, you're lying about that. What the heck? Like, issue an apology, go about your day, eat a little humble pie and move on. But instead of double down and lie about it when there's a perfectly good view that somebody got, I don't know where they were standing sideline, shot of the spit. And it was a milky spit too. Right on Jalen Ramsey before Ramsey threw a punch. So
that was all over his own face mask too. So how the referees didn't look at his face mask and see a bunch of spit on it and say, "Oh yeah, he obviously spit."
It looked like it went down towards the jersey, I thought, but I could be wrong. I didn't see it on his face mask. I didn't see a video.
Oh, I'm talking about from Chase's face mask.
Oh, okay.
On the way exiting, it hit his face mask bars. So it's all over his face mask. You don't just magically get a wet face mask in the middle of a game unless you spit.
Yeah.
So if you're being accused of spitting and the referee looks at your face mask and it's covered in spit, you probably spit.
Yep, you're not wrong.
Just a half a second of detective sleuthing would have been enough to eject him from the game, but they refused to do it. Even the pool report afterwards, where they asked the referees, they said they didn't see anything from Jamar Chase. Well, it doesn't matter because cameras caught it and he's been exposed.
Yep. And so they'll be issuing, the NFL was investigating that. They'll probably be issuing something either today or tomorrow about that. I'm assuming we here at Steelers by the Lake are assuming that Jamar Chase will get suspended a game. However, we're also assuming Jalen Ramsey will get fined. He's already served a quote unquote suspension since he got ejected. But if they suspend Jalen Ramsey, I would be shocked if Jamar Chase also only gets a game. I don't think you can justify that Jalen Ramsey gets ejected and suspended while Jamar Chase got to finish out that game and then faces only a 1-game suspension. So we'll see how that plays out. You'll see us share anything on social media when that gets uploaded, or if it comes out in the last few minutes that we're recording the show. James, you want to talk special teams?
Yeah. And just I kind of want to second your thought on this safety room. Is they played a real nice game, man. Duggar has just been a godsend ever since this Sean Elliott injury. Just really been the glue to that room. And boy, Jalen Ramsey's one heck of a tackler, man. When he comes in to wrap somebody up, they go to the ground. Chuck Clark did a great job at the end there of holding things together. I was real concerned after Jalen Ramsey got ejected that things would start to fall apart, and they didn't. So shout out to Chuck Clark for playing some solid football at the end there to make sure that things did not fall apart. Boswell perfect on the day, even though he did dink one of those extra points in off of an upright. It still counts because it went through, and that's all that matters, right?
Yep, it's all that matters. I was nervous when I saw that, but it did go through, so we'll take that absolutely. The kick return game I thought was fairly decent. We had Kenneth Gainwell had 1 for 24. Excuse me, it wasn't that decent. I just know we had 3 guys. So Kenneth Gainwell 1 for 24, Deshaun Jameson 1 for 20, Keyshawn Williams 1 for 20. So nothing too crazy there. Only 3 returns. Punt returns, Calvin Austin 2 for 15 yards. Unfortunately, mental error on his part, grabbing that one that was probably going to bounce into the end zone. I think like
Yeah.
3 or 4 yard line or something like that. So that was unfortunate for him. And then Corliss Waitman, 3 punts for 133 yards, averaged 44.3. Got 2 of them inside the 20, which was perfect. That's what we like to see. So keep that up, Corliss Waitman.
Yeah, I feel like Corliss is getting a little more accurate as the season goes along with this placement. You know, there was a few times early on in the year that I was a little frustrated with him kicking a few of them into the end zone and not giving the defense a chance to try to pin them deep. And I think he's doing a nice job of getting those inside the 20 nowadays. So overall, special teams did their job, man. I thought they were good.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on the game as a whole?
No, I think just like we had some very key performances from some guys that needed to step up. And some guys that maybe you thought were doing a decent job that took it to another level. Yep. So there's a lot to be optimistic about from this game. And that's a crazy thing to say when your starting quarterback goes out with a broken wrist and multiple other guys that are pretty key to the game get injured. But hey, man, it's kind of looking up after this game. So real quick on the injuries from this game, obviously Aaron Rodgers, the speculation is that there is a fracture to that left wrist. Yep. The issue there, I've heard some people already saying, well, that's not his throwing arm, so who cares about it? When you're catching the ball from the center, if you're right-handed, it's your left hand that goes under the center's butt, and that's where the impact is absorbed from the ball being snapped. It goes directly into your palm and right into that wrist. If you have a broken wrist, that is not going to go well at all. So chances are very good he's going to miss a few weeks. Unless this is not actually broken, I cannot imagine them allowing him to take snaps like that. They'd have to go full shotgun so that he's not taking that impact. Otherwise, he'd have to switch up and have the right hand on top, which can screw some stuff up. And I really don't see the point in doing that. You're just opening yourself up to more issues and more problems. Brandon Eccles with the ankle. He did return to the game. It got taped up pretty severely. We'll see how he goes throughout the week. Jalen Warren also with an ankle, also got taped up, also returned in the game. So I would hope both of them will be ready to go for the Bears game. There is a chance, however, you might see one of them miss because sometimes those ankles, after you get that tape up, they swell up and they're real bad, real painful for a few days. So possibility of those guys missing some time. Kayshawn Williams did get a concussion in this game. So there's a possibility of him missing as well. So,
yeah. So real quick, we're going to share our 4 game balls to end the podcast. We did get game balls from Jill and Nick since they're not on the show today. Jill's game ball went to one and only Mason Rudolph, coming in and saving us for the holidays again, even though I don't know what holiday she's talking about. It's not Thanksgiving yet. Veterans Day? I don't know. Maybe.
That's right around the corner,
And then Nick giving his game ball to Darnell Washington, Mount Washington, having a phenomenal game. And seeing those stiff arms and those lovely runs was very enjoyable for all of us Steeler fans. Little flashbacks to like Vance Stiff Arm McDonald back in the day. So that was enjoyable to watch. James, do you want to give your game ball out?
I'd like you to go first, honestly, because I have 2 guys in mind. And if you take one of the 2, it'll be easy for me. If you take neither one of them, it's going to be real tough for me.
Yeah. Well, let's hope I take one then, because my game ball is going to James Pierre.
All right.
Yeah, I had to. He had a phenomenal game. The scoop and score, and then also playing shutdown defense on Jamar Chase was just phenomenal to watch. And seeing how often these guys were up in their Jamar's face at the line of scrimmage and bumping him off the line was very, very enjoyable to watch. So that's why James Pierre gets my game ball.
That was one of the 2 guys I had in mind. Excellent game from James Pierre, so I couldn't agree with you more. And I love both Jill's and Nick's. Was very stabilizing play, just like Jill said, from Mason Rudolph. Great to see him so poised and calm and collected and really navigating that offense right down the field. So great game by him. And Darnell was just a juggernaut in this game, man. It was taking 2-3 guys to get him to the ground almost every time he had the ball. So love that. We all are big fans of Darnell Washington. Mine, is the last guy that I feel like can't possibly be ignored from this game because he was that good, and it's Kyle Duggar. I just thought Kyle was incredible in this game. His pick six was really a tide turner. It went from a close game where we were just a little bit ahead to, okay, now we're up by 2 scores and we've got all the momentum. Right after Jalen Ramsey got ejected in this game, he came up and made an awesome hit on somebody coming over the middle as if to say, no, you're not gaining momentum from this penalty. We still got this under control. So I feel like Kyle just had himself a real nice game in this game. That pick six was just incredible. He almost had a pick earlier in the game as well. He's just what the doctor ordered, like he's the Dr. Pepper of this defense. He's just what the doctor ordered. When Deshaun Elliott went down, they trade for Kyle Duggar, and they haven't missed a beat. The kid's having an incredible season. I'm really happy to have him on the team. And it's kind of looking like maybe they ought to be thinking about trying to extend him as well. So,
yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I'd love to see him extended. Last thing, real quick, before we end the show, Nick also wanted it to be discussed briefly that the Ravens almost lost to the Browns with Shador Sanders, who had a worse passer rating than if he would have if he had spiked the ball every play, which is just crazy. So
that's because in like 10 snaps, he had an interception and a fumble.
Yeah. So Nick points out something. We're still in the driver's seat of this division. It's our division to lose, but we do have a tough schedule coming up. So we can't thank you guys enough for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. Don't forget the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Make James here very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.